I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We wasted one of your years. I'm sorry. You should have 11 wins. You should.
I have a major update in regards to Deshaun Watson for you guys, and it's an update that kind of cracks this entire situation wide open because, to be honest, as a NFL fan, I've only seen this type of scenario one other time, and it was probably with Carson Palmer during his 6th year in the league when he was just completely disgruntled with the Cincinnati Bengals and literally threatened to retire over playing for the Bengals again. Eventually, he would get traded to the Oakland Raiders. His career there wasn't that great before he would finally go on and play with Arizona. But that situation is significantly different than the one we're in today because Deshaun Watson's issues with the Houston Texans are way deeper than just him not being involved in a general manager search. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Guys, I wanted to remind you I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you sub and hit that notification bell, you have officially entered for a chance to win a PS5 digital edition. If you want additional entries, follow us on Instagram and Twitter because we're doing AirPod Max giveaways for our Instagram followers on The Flight Mike. I also want to welcome our latest member to Mike Mafia, Josiah Alexander, and Dakota Bowling, Mike D, and Johnny Aaron for joining as Mike Mafia soldiers. Thank you for supporting me further so I can make this content full time for my profession. Now that we got all that out of the way, Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, the Deshaun Watson saga at the very beginning, when you first heard this trade rumor that Deshaun Watson is so disgruntled with the Houston Texans that he could potentially force himself out, there's one thing that goes to your mind. One, it's the fact that he was signed to a huge contract extension literally in the past year, and two, the fact that it's nearly impossible for a player to leave a franchise if they want to, even if they are a free agent, should that team want to keep him. This has always been my biggest problem with the NFL's way of conducting free agency. Because if you follow me on my basketball channel, The Flight Mike, you know that one of my favorite periods is NBA free agency. And that's because everything is absolutely chaotic. You have stars teaming up together to form super teams. You have players moving from one team to another. It's a storyline of betrayal. It's a storyline of camaraderie. There's so much drama as a result of it. And the reason why it works is because the NBA has something that the NFL just simply does not. And it's the fact that the NBA doesn't have a freaking franchise tag, and the NFL does. Theoretically speaking, a NFL team could keep a player for the rest of his career, even if it's against that player's will. And that's honestly a pretty big freaking shame, because you see great storylines form when one player leaves a team to join another because it's what's best for his career. Take what happened with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for example. So that's what kind of sucks for Deshaun Watson. And the reason why I bring this up is it's really a shame when you see a NFL player get drafted to a team that clearly has no idea what they're doing in terms of roster construction and is pretty much condemned to that team for the rest of their career. Deshaun Watson essentially has no way out of the Houston Texans unless if he's extremely aggressive and if he holds out. And that's what he's implying here, because at this point, it seems like Deshaun Watson's issues with the Houston Texans is way more than just the fact that they don't know how to construct a roster, and it's just way more than Bill O'Brien completely shafting him out of a chance to potentially win a Super Bowl early on in his career. So with that in mind, let me take you through every single bit of Deshaun Watson information you need to know, starting from what we learned on Friday, because I covered everything else prior to that in a video on Thursday. So the first bit of information is Deshaun Watson was extremely unhappy with how the team's general manager search played out. This is according to Ian Rappaport. Rappaport reported that Deshaun Watson was told by team owner Cal McNair he'd have input in the process. However, the hiring of Nick Caserio was done without his consultation, which is Watson's point of contention rather than the move itself. And according to this tweet from Ian, Deshaun Watson has not spoken to the Texans in the last few days, even though they tried to call him. But there's more to this, because according to Adam Schefter, the Texans did not inform Watson that they intended to hire Caserio, and he found out about the hire on social media. That contributed to Deshaun Watson posting this tweet on Twitter that says some things never change. Now, this tweet has been taken down ever since, but there's an additional report that says that the tweet that Deshaun Watson put out could have nothing to do with the Houston Texans, but could be a reference to social justice. Last offseason, Houston did a similar thing here. They did not let Deshaun Watson know that they were trading his number one wide receiver and probably the best wide receiver in the NFL in DeAndre Hopkins, which led to him being frustrated, and it's obvious why he would be. Imagine if you're Deshaun Watson and randomly you find out through social media that DeAndre Hopkins is getting traded for David Johnson, and then you're bringing along Brandon Cooks and paying him the same amount of money that you were paying DeAndre Hopkins to begin with. Shefty continues on to say that Watson didn't expect the Texans to hire the guy he wanted. He just wanted to have the opportunity to meet with the ownership's finalists so he could offer his thoughts from a player standpoint to benefit the team. This is your franchise player, and he just wants to be consulted about the team's moves the same way Patrick Mahomes gets consulted by the Kansas City Chiefs as to how he wants them to construct their team. Literally last year in the NFL draft, at the end of the first round, Brett Veach called Patrick Mahomes and asked him if he needed any other offensive weapons. Patrick Mahomes responded, "Get me Clyde Edwards-Helaire," and that's how they drafted Clyde with their first round pick. Nevertheless, that's not what's going on in Houston, and that's driving Deshaun Watson crazy because it seems like they're just wasting his prime despite him putting up fantastic and remarkable statistics. Now, this is where things get a little bit crazy here, and I'm going to tread very carefully because when you dive into this part of sports, you have to be extremely careful. So the Houston Texans also have a head coaching vacancy that needs to be filled, and Deshaun Watson wanted that vacancy to be filled by the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. And that's because Patrick Mahomes put in a very strong word for Eric Bieniemy with Deshaun Watson. And the Texans didn't even attempt to interview Eric Bieniemy. So not only does this make Deshaun Watson feel like the Texans don't care about his opinion at all, but it kind of gets a little bit darker from here. Before Bob McNair passed away, he said a really crazy statement once in reference to his football players. And this aged absolutely horrifically if you think about it. So this happened back in October 27, 2017. This was when Colin Kaepernick started kneeling for the national anthem. And at the time, Bob McNair said in reference to, and this is what was presumed because what came out after this was completely different, but Bob McNair said that we cannot have inmates running the prison, which kind of was interpreted as we cannot just cave into the players' demands when they want to quote-unquote disrespect our American flag and kneel during the national anthem. He would later on apologize for these statements, and then after a while he would say, "I regret apologizing," because that wasn't necessarily in reference to the players. The inmates was referencing the league executives who felt that like they had more control over major decisions than the owners. But historically, the Houston Texans have made decisions that are consistent with not choosing to hire or even interview a very promising black offensive coordinator that their star quarterback would want to work with. And that's what Chris Mortensen said today. Reports about Deshaun Watson's unhappiness with the Houston Texans are accurate, and sources close to the quarterback say he is still angry about the team's insensitivity to social justice, including hiring practices, after the franchise failed to interview Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy this past week. Sources say that Watson could play hardball with the Texans about a trade. His new $156 million contract includes a no-trade clause, but informed speculation from a source is that he would consider the Miami Dolphins, in which Tua Tagovailoa and additional compensation goes to Houston. Now look, if there is a team that could potentially make this crazy trade, it would be the Miami Dolphins. The question is, should they make this crazy trade? Because yes, Deshaun Watson is a transcendent talent. Dabo Swinney, his former head coach at Clemson, literally called him the Michael Jordan of football. But you have to understand what the Miami Dolphins would have to give up in order to get a player like Deshaun Watson. So the proposed trade includes Tua Tagovailoa and a couple of other assets. But when you look at the assets that the Miami Dolphins have, we're talking about the Houston Texans first-round pick that they gave to the Dolphins as a result of the Laramie Tunsil trade, which was the number 3 overall selection. You have the Dolphins first-round pick, which is the number 18 overall selection. Then the Dolphins also have the Texans second-round pick, which is the number 36 overall selection, and they have their own second-round pick, which is the number 50 overall selection. So if you package Tua, and I don't know how many of these assets is it going to take to get Deshaun Watson, is that even worth it if you're the Miami Dolphins? Yes, of course, Deshaun Watson is a transcendent talent, but do you understand what 4 picks, especially 2 of those picks being in the top 20, could do for a franchise? I understand Tua was fairly underwhelming in his rookie year, but so was Josh Allen, so was Lamar Jackson. So this is going to be a little controversial, and this is my take on the subject, and you guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this. But if I'm the Houston Texans and the Miami Dolphins are offering me Tua and my old first-round pick, the number 3 overall pick, and another first-round pick from either this year or next year, and maybe a second-round pick from this year, then I'm jumping on that, because it's not that Deshaun Watson isn't a remarkable talent. He is a remarkable talent, but if you have Deshaun Watson on a team that doesn't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick this year, your team's obviously horrific, then you're pretty much just going to have the equivalent to what happened with Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. Sure, you have a great quarterback, but a great quarterback could only do so much. You saw what happened to Carson Wentz when his team began to draft poorly and didn't give him the supporting cast that he needed, when his offensive line started breaking down and he had players like Travis Fulgham to throw to. Yes, Deshaun Watson was remarkable with a lack of weapons this year, but your team still was the 3rd worst team in the NFL. So trading a player like Deshaun Watson and getting a Herschel Walker-like return would completely accelerate your rebuild, and you could start over from scratch and undo the damage that Bill O'Brien did. And if Tua's thrown in on top of that, then that's a remarkable value. You have to pounce on that. However, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm not willing to give up that much capital to get Deshaun Watson, because you still don't necessarily know what you have in Tua. He only played his rookie season, and he may have not blossomed right away, but you don't have enough of a sample size to completely write him off as the potential franchise QB for this team. The number 3 overall pick this year could be your franchise left tackle, Penei Sewell. Your number 18 pick this year could be your franchise wide receiver. Your second-round pick, your number 36 overall pick this year, and your number 50 pick this year could either go towards drafting a halfback like Najee Harris, or you could draft another wide receiver like Chris Olave. You could draft an edge rusher like Jalen Phillips. There's so much potential here, and the Miami Dolphins have a remarkable track record for building their team so far. They've done a remarkable job completely turning this roster around. So with that being said, is it worth it for the Miami Dolphins to trade all of this capital just to get a surefire quarterback when they're not even sure if Tua Tagovailoa is the answer or not? In my opinion, no. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? Should the Miami Dolphins pounce on this opportunity if this rumor is even true? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload. Probably a crazy wild card game, so you guys could tweet at me if there's like a post-game video you want made.